in the blank. You're not getting any younger. So
what are you for? So what are you waiting for? Why not now? Like there's no point in waiting to do the thing. If you want to do it, go figure out how to do it. Like waiting is not a strategy. It really isn't. And giving up isn't a strategy either.
hey, you. Yes, you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Today's episode is brought to you by Jen and Juice Coaching by yours truly. For the past 5 years, I've worked with over 100 people to help them feel, well, less stuck. Whether you're looking to change careers, start a side hustle, or just get a strategy for your life, head on over to jenglantz.com/coaching and you can find out about my 1-hour coaching specials that will help you feel like you can finally cross those things off your to-do list and start whatever kind of project, life change, or dream that you have. Hey, any youngers, it's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. I am so glad that you are here and you are listening to this in the month of May. I'm excited for this week's guest because I don't know about you, but I find myself quite often being distracted and overwhelmed by social media. I either find myself feeling alive by it, which is the days when I spend hours on TikTok browsing videos and laughing on the couch, realizing that the entire morning of a Sunday is now gone. And there are days when I feel defeated by it, when I'm scrolling through social media, not feeling good enough, comparing myself to so many other people's lives, and just not feeling so great. I've taken some breaks from social media and they've been super, super helpful. I took a 2-week break off of social media late last year, and I found that it just made me feel a lot better. And I had so much more free time during the time I wasn't on social media. And I loved that. I didn't miss social media at all. In fact, I hardly even thought about it that when I was off of it. After a couple of days of detoxing, I felt so much better not being on social media. And I share that with you because this week's audience, that's what she speaks a whole lot about, is how do we deal with our mental health? How do we deal with our mental health in this world when we're constantly attached to our phones and our Instagrams and our social media? I'm so excited to have our guest this week, Lauren Ellman. She's the author of a brand new book out this month called BRB, a memoir about coming of age in the digital age. Check it out. I'm linking it below here. Our conversation was phenomenal because we talk about something called your relationship with social media, which you might not even realize you have. So I want you to start to think about what your relationship is and how you could often change that if you realize your relationship with social media is not so great. Enjoy this episode. And as always, come hang out with us in the secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group. I truly hope to see you there. And send me an email or even just share with other people in the world that you're listening to this episode and screenshot it and share it on Instagram. Tag me there at Jen Glantz. I'll be back next week with another episode. All my love, Jen Glantz. Hey, Lauren, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so awkward because we've been talking for the past 15 minutes before we officially started recording, but I obviously know you pretty well. I've known you over the past couple of years, but how would you explain who you are and what you do to somebody you just met at a party?
Okay. So like my elevator speech.
Yes.
My name is Lauren Ellman. I am a published author and podcast host, and I explore the intersection of mental health and social media use. That's what I write about. That's what I talk about. And that's who I interview.
And you've been doing this for quite some time. So take us back a couple of years ago when you really sort of almost rebranded yourself and went into the space. What was the reason why you decided to start writing about this and talking about these things?
That's a good question. So I started my journey online with an online business. I started a business where I was teaching other people how to use social media to brand themselves. And I was coaching and I had a lot of clients and I was on social media a lot. And my mental health was struggling a lot. And social media had something to do with it. Of course, it wasn't the only thing, but it was this exacerbating my mental health issues. So I got pregnant and I decided I don't want to be sick anymore. I need to fix this. So I deleted all of my social media. I deleted all the apps. I closed down my business and I had that deleted for about a year. And when I came back, I realized, it wasn't social media that was making me feel sick. It was my relationship with it. So when I came back online, I started talking about that and sharing my experience. And when I sat down to write the book, I basically took everything that I've written over the past 10 years that I had access to, blogs, stuff from college, everything that I've pitched to other people. And the theme of everything after I put it all in one document was that it was my experience as a millennial and social media and mental health. And I was like, okay, I've been writing about this for the past 10 years. So that's how I entered into this space and kind of like niched myself in this realm.
I'm so glad we're talking this week because I'm going through a week where I'm having a very bad relationship with social media.
Mm-hmm.
And you just sort of set the word relationship. And I want to talk about that. How does somebody look at themselves and judge the relationship they have with social media? Because for most people, it's so surface level. It's, oh, I'm just on Instagram a lot, or oh, I'm on TikTok a lot, but they don't know what the relationship is. So how do you even identify that?
Yeah. So the way that I'm able to like compartmentalize it is remembering that these apps were designed to affect our brains like a drug, like a very addictive drug. And there's a lot of people who are a lot smarter than us sitting around a table figuring out how to do that. So when I think of it like that, it's something that I have to sober up from. So when I start feeling drunk and feeling sick and feeling like I've had too much, I have to set boundaries. Some people have more addictive personalities and they can't moderate their consumption of something like social media and they have to make that decision. I'm able to set firm boundaries. I'm able to recognize when I'm feeling not so great. So that's how I see it from a different level, I guess, as opposed to like, it's just my phone. I'm just scrolling. I'm just bored. Like as soon as I start to feel that anxiety, that sickness, that like malaise, all of it, I recognize where it's coming from. And it's usually my phone.
I want to break it down into almost two lenses. The first is the lens of you as a content creator, because for the past so many years, not only have you had a business, but you've been a writer, you've been someone who posted about their life. So I want to talk about boundaries in that space first. How do you set boundaries? I mean, you're a mom, you have such a wonderful life, and you showcase a lot of it. You showcase it in a more honest way than most people. But share with us, as a content creator who's been doing this for quite some time, how you set boundaries in that area.
Yeah, that was like a big point of contention at first when I was writing this book, because I was like, well, I'm like talking shit about social media and I need social media to sell the book. So I had to really like figure it out. And the truth is, after I came back on social media and started using it in a way that felt good, I genuinely enjoy it now. Like I love Instagram. I love TikTok. I don't feel bad going on there because I'm consuming it in a really mindful way and I'm using it. I'm talking to people, connecting it. It's giving to me as opposed to just draining me. So sorry, I don't know if you you cut out a second. I didn't know if you asked me a question.
No.
So so yeah, the way that I'm able to like set that boundary as a content creator is just like always coming from a place of authenticity. I I took time to realize what I wanted to share and what I didn't. I try really hard not to like share pictures of my kids and use them as content, my husband, like my marriage, my family. Like I know those aren't things that I'm sharing. I'm really just sharing me, my brain, what's going on, my insights, what I'm figuring out, downloads like that. And I pay attention to what people engage with, message me about, comment, whatever, what's clicking and resonating, and I just bounce off of those things and I'm like, oh, people really related to this thing. I'm going to explore that a little more and unpack it with them a bit in the next post I do or in the next story. So that's how I manage the content creator role. I'm just me. I know what parts of myself I'm going to share, what parts I'm not. And yeah, I don't take it so seriously either. I know it's just this like slice of my personality and this slice of my life, and I make sure other people know that too.
Yeah, I think you do a really good job of being honest and showcasing honest parts of life, which can be really hard to do for a lot of reasons. What I deal with is I feel like and this is something I've come into contact with a couple of different times, is that the people who really know me, who spend so much time with me, will look at my social media and feel like I'm lying to them, or feel like, I'm not sharing certain things with them. So there's a really tough balance, I know, for me as well as a content creator, between the people in my real life and the people in my social media life. I 1000% believe I'm authentic on social media. I don't believe I'm putting on a face, but that also means I'm not sharing every single part of me. I mean, this week I'm not feeling great. I'm feeling like shit, honestly. But I'm not going to show up on social media and, tell everyone my list of long problems, but I am going to show up and share parts of it. So I run into a situation where some people in my life, they don't feel like I'm lying on social media, but they feel like, wait, you didn't share that with me, but you posted on social media. Do you ever find that in your life where you might feel like two different people at times?
Well, sometimes not exactly that way, but I do feel this might sound weird, but I know, like, so the way that I interact with my family, like I'm a mom and a wife, right? Like that's who I am all the time. Like I'm a certain way around the kids and around my husband. We're busy, we're working, we're doing things. So I'm not always like my true self, like this carefree, fun, young, youthful person. But on line I get to just be Lauren, and I do feel like I get to be more myself online sometimes than I am in my home life. And my husband's like not really on social media, so he's not really seeing like my stories and stuff, but he's on TikTok a lot now, so he sees me do stuff there and he loves it and he thinks all my videos are so cool. He never says stuff like, you're not that happy, you weren't that happy at dinner, like when did you make that video? But yeah, I do notice that comes up for me a lot, that sometimes I enjoy playing online more than I do in real life. And that's something I've been trying to reconcile with a lot, and like bring that play into my embodied life and be that person around my husband and kids and make time for her. But yeah, that's something I'm working with.
It's such a smart way of thinking about it because, I feel like sometimes it takes so much effort to respond to a text message or respond to an email when you're having a tough day. It takes no effort to show up on Instagram and have a little fun. And that's, I think, also why people get mad at me. They're like, you literally have not answered 5 of my last texts, but I'm watching your life unfold on Instagram. And I'm like, you just don't understand. Like, it's just a lot easier for me to deal with that than like deal with typing on, I don't know. And it's such a hard thing that I do feel like other content creators can understand, but it is something that I am trying to get better at as a human being.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. Like we get so much dopamine from showing up online, like it's really validating, really connecting. We love to connect and talk to people and be seen and be heard. So my brain is much rather going to want to do that than write an email, send a text message, have a hard conversation. So is it a distraction from the other parts of my life? Yeah. Is it a healthier distraction than others that I've employed? Yes. So I don't mind it.
Like every time I'm like, I want to quit social media, I find myself scrolling and finding something really educational or really important or a new job or a new idea. And then I'm like, wait, even though we say so much negative about social media, there is a lot of good. I mean, also I make a lot of friends over social media. I feel like you and I connected in many ways, but also over social media, So there is a lot of power to it. And I feel like you explore all of those sides and more in your new book, BRB, a memoir about coming of age in the digital age, which I think is such a brilliant title. I love it so much. So talk to us a little bit about what made you want to write this book? Because this is a topic you've talked about for years, but what made you want to put it all in a book?
Yeah. So like I said, I kind of just took everything that I've written for a while and saw what the common themes were, and then the book kind of came from there. I knew I had a book in me. I knew I wanted to write one. I was spending a couple of years figuring out what it was going to be about, and it wasn't until I sat down with all of it in front of me that I was like, "Oh, that's what it's going to be about." And it kind of went from there. And then as I was writing the book, my online content kind of started going in that direction, and it really started to like take shape. And then that documentary came out, The Social Dilemma came out recently, like right as I was like done with the book and like or finishing up the self-publishing part of it, because I've been working on the book for the past 3 years. And I was like, oh no, like someone's already talking about it. No one's gonna want to read my book. And then I was like, wait, like this is the first time people have talked about it in like a mainstream way that people are, and I'm noticed, and everyone started reaching out to me like, did you watch it? Oh, this is what you talk about. And I was like, oh, this might be like the perfect time, because people are just starting to see the things that I've been seeing for a while. So it seems like a good time for people to receive the book, I think.
I think it's always a good time. I think that movie, that documentary was the first time people were like, wow, there's people with algorithms getting our attention spans. But I think the underlying issue is this is something people explore every month in their life. Like I haven't read the book yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And I feel like it could be a good thing to turn to, especially when I'm having a week like this week where my relationship with social media isn't so great. So I know you've set boundaries, you've done social media detoxing before, you've done challenges before. What are maybe your 2 or 3 things you would tell a person to try if they're noticing their relationship is going south?
Yeah, I think noticing is a great first step, like recognizing that feeling and being honest with yourself. But yeah, just remembering that you're not the big thing that people would say to me when I'd say, I'm going to take a detox, I'm going to take a break, things like that, because I've done it a bunch of times aside from the time I deleted everything for the year. Everyone says like, what if I miss something? I'm going to miss something. I'm going to, not get to read this or see this or whatever. Like, that's not true. Like, you're going to see it. If whether you're listening to podcasts, listening to the radio, talking to friends, like you're not going to miss anything, especially with everyone like screenshotting stuff and texting it to each other. Like, you're going to be part of it. You're still in the ether. You're still there. So just kind of letting go of that, tie that it has to you, which it does on purpose because it's a drug. But once you recognize it and accept that you have a problem and admit it, you can take detoxes like you were mentioning. I don't think that deleting it altogether forever is a realistic option for most people. Like I said, if you have an addictive personality, or if it's, social media isn't a part of your life at all, like there's plenty of people like that. But for most of us, that's just not true. There's a lot of good to be had on here. So taking maybe a day where you're like, okay, tomorrow or this weekend, I'm not going to be on social media. I'm going to delete the apps. The best advice I have for anyone who's doing that for however long of a period you're going to do it for is prepare before you do that. That's kind of I put like a detox plan together for that. So deleting is easy. You just hit delete and it goes away. But that space of when you scroll open your phone every 5 seconds and you're like, where's my apps? You need to fill that void. So preparing ahead of time and like knowing what podcasts you're going to listen to instead, knowing what books you're going to read when you're bored, knowing what yoga video, like filling up that time in your calendar so that you're going to sit on your couch. Like you will be surprised how many times you think but you don't. How many times you grab your phone and you're like, mind doesn't even pay attention to what you're doing. So that's what I think the best advice. Prepare for your time off the app and then when you come back on, reevaluate your relationship so that it's a healthier one every time you come back on.
I've noticed personally when I've stopped using social media, I feel like end of last year I went off for two weeks just because I wanted to. And I had so many friends. I didn't tell anyone. So many friends text me like, "Are you okay? Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm actually doing really well." And I have to tell you, it was so hard to go back onto social media. So did you feel the same when you left it for a year? When you've done your detoxes, do you find it to be exciting to go back, or are you like the drug's worn off? Like I've gone through it. Like I feel good.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, the first time, so when I deleted it for the year when I was pregnant, I wasn't planning on coming back. I thought I had cut the stuff for good and I didn't have to come back on. But towards the end of my pregnancy, I like wanted to share like what was going on. I wanted to share this like exciting time, and like texting all my friends individually for the whole year was really exhausting. So when I went back on, I did it with the intention to like privatize all of my accounts. And I made sure I knew who was seeing my stuff and who was seeing these pictures. I privatized my Facebook, my Instagram, all of that. And then it felt like I was just texting all of my friends and family, but all of them. Like I made sure I knew who was there and who was paying attention. And then when I went back to like my Blogs Instagram, which is now like my first and last name, I was just having fun there, and I was playing around, and I was talking about mom stuff and new baby stuff and sharing what was going on in my life. But whereas before I was doing it to like fit this mold of like a blogger, and like I needed to do it this way or the other way, I just did whatever I wanted, said whatever I wanted, was myself, tried things out. I grew out of them. I tried new things, and yeah, I just get to like flow with it now, and it grows with me, as opposed to like trying to fit my content into a box.
Yeah, I don't think it ever works. There's so many people who, when they're learning to do social media, they're like, oh, I'm going to copy a formula. Makes you miserable. And it's also not you, and your audience doesn't care.
It really comes off unauthentic.
Yeah, it's so obvious, you know? And that's one of the things I like about your stories and just your social media in general is like, you know, it's you. And even if you don't know you, you're just being so honest and so real and not following any type of structure, which I think is really cool, which I love. And so before I let you go, tell us where people can find this book and grab themselves a copy, because everyone needs a little bit of an understanding of how the social media and the digital age has changed us growing up.
Yeah. So the book is available on Amazon right now for pre-order, in the Kindle version and the paperback version. I'm self-publishing, so I also am distributing through Ingram Sparks, and there's a way for me to get it in Barnes & Noble and IndieBound and those places too. I just haven't done that part yet, but it'll be there too. But if you go to laurenellman.com, all the links will be there, and you can choose whichever option. If you want to use your local bookstore, or you can tell your local bookstore to carry the book, give them the name or the ISBN numbers. All of that is on my website. But yeah, you can pre-order it now, and then it'll be released on May 25th for everyone to read.
So exciting. I can't wait to get a physical copy of the book. That's the best feeling in the world. I don't know about you, but I just can't read ebook. I can't do it.
I have a very romantic relationship with books.
Me too. And I got a Kindle. I never use it. So I'm looking forward to getting this book in my hands. I'm going to ask you the final question I ask everyone at the end of these interviews. Fill in the blank. You're not getting any younger. So.
Oh man, I should have prepared for this one. I listen to your podcast all the time. I didn't think to. So you're not getting any younger. So, yeah. So what are you for? So what are you waiting for? Why not now? Like there's no point in waiting to do the thing. If you want to do it, go figure out how to do it. Like waiting is not a strategy. It really isn't. And giving up isn't a strategy either. Like giving up on the thing that you want to do because you're too old, or you've missed your time, or someone else is doing it. That's all bullshit excuses. There's room for everyone to do all the things they want to do. You included, me included. And yeah, there's no reason to say no to yourself anymore.
I love that. I think that's a great motto for life, is that no one's going to give you the opportunity. You have to create it yourself half the time, and even though it seems like it looks easy, it's really tough, but you do it step by step. And I think your self-publishing journey is such a way of proving that to everybody. You got this book out, and this book means so much to you. It's going to mean so much to the world. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and for all of your awesome tips.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking to you.
Yay! Hey, you. Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.